We get a call from his security because he had his own personal security.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, Marco, Kobe wants a cold tub. Now, back then we had the big metal cold tub type thing. Now, we just flew to Denver. Keep in mind, we don't travel with a big old cold tub we're carrying around. Here you go type thing. Right, we don't do that. So I tell the security, like, hey, we don't travel with that. I'm like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, he's staying in a suite. I'm sure he has a big tub. I'm happy to go get some ice. We could dip some ice in there, and we can make a makeshift cold tub. And the security's like, no, he doesn't want that. He wants the actual cold tub. I'm like, what am I supposed to do?
Hey guys, welcome back to More Than a Match with myself, RH. My mate Damani's not here with us, but I am joined by my new friend, Marco. Marco, thank you very much for joining us on More Than a Match. We start off the podcast by just telling us about your journey and where did it all start?
Sure. Hi everybody, my name is Marco Núñez. So by nature tradition, I am here in the States what you refer to as an athletic trainer. I know in Europe and Canada, there's no such thing as an athletic trainer. I know there's a physio. So I initially went to school at Cal Poly Pomona, got my degree in kinesiology, and it's specifically in athletic training, working with athletes in the training room type of thing, their injuries, pre-warm-up, stuff like that. Over the years, I slowly kind of gravitated away from that area or kind of expanded a little bit more. One thing I noticed, and I know definitely in Europe, about maybe 15 years ago or 20 years ago, this whole sports science started developing. Humongous thing came out of Australia, it's here in the States, also here in Europe, pretty much all over the world type of thing. And that's when I kind of realized, hey, I need to kind of get away from just being the traditional athletic trainer in the box, so to speak. I pursued, so then I went ahead and received my strength and conditioning specialist. So I also work as a strength and conditioning. So I kind of combined both the other training and the strength and conditioning. My next step was I realized that one of the key components with athletes is movement, understanding their movement patterns, understanding what their movements. So as I continued to kind of venture and expand in my education, I decided to get my master's, but I wasn't sure what. Finally, I decided there's a university in Arizona that they had a master's in human movement biomechanics, which makes you understand the whole body, which then that allowed me to kind of incorporate the whole injuries with the movement and the strength and conditioning part. And then eventually, finally, most recently, I decided to get my doctorate from Florida International University, so I can have my doctorate to kind of expand everything on that part. So that's kind of like where we're at now.
Hey, I tell you what, there's some CV there, Marco. Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. What I'm really interested in and what the audience would be really interested in is the education side of things. So when you've gone down that route and you've done obviously your masterate and you've done other different stuff, what made you go into the sort of profession when you went into working for, say, clubs or professional organizations? What made you go down that direction? And now you're going, obviously, doing your own bits and stuff like that. So what led you to the stage where you went into clubs, and why did you go away for the personal stuff?
Correct. So if I'm going to be completely honest and transparent with you on this part. So when I was at Cal Poly and I was a freshman, sophomore going into this field of athletic training, there was other older students that were seniors that were ready to kind of graduate. And I've always been that kind of that type A personality that you tell me, hey, you can't do it, I'm going to prove you wrong type thing. So I remember they were having conversation and I started doing research, and they were talking about that getting to the professional level, whether you're a physio, physical therapist, athletic trainer, was one of the hardest things to do because there's not many teams that try to get there, was like very difficult. So once I heard that, I'm like, all right, that's my goal.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to get there. The interesting part about this is that when I was in college, I decided we had a few teams here in LA. We had the Lakers, the Kings, we had the Galaxy. We didn't have any NFL teams. So I decided to go online and research who their physio was, who their physical therapists, the trainers, and I contacted them all one by one. Unfortunately, nobody called me back. The only one that did call me back is I was able to get a hold of their home number. And don't ask me how I did this. I was probably stalking them. The gentleman's name was Ivan Pereira. He was a head athletic trainer for the MLS team, the LA Galaxy. He was a great guy. He actually answered the phone and he actually spoke with me. We had a nice little conversation. I was very, very grateful for that on that part. But then there was an LA Avengers team, which is an arena football team that kind of developed here. That was only an NFL team. I pursued it. I was able to get an intern with them. I was there for 1 year. And at the end of the year, even though I was an intern, their assistant athletic trainer left to go to another team. The general manager pulled me into his office and said, hey, Marco, we'd like to hire you next year for the season. Now, the school year here goes from September to June, right? Their season began in April. I was supposed to graduate in June. But in order for me to be able to work with them in April, I had to graduate, pass my license board, and be certified, ready to go.
So it was a scramble then.
So it was a scramble for me, and I decided to take. I basically normally here in the States you take about 12 units per quarter. I decided to take 24, just condense everything a whole year like into one quarter. I went crazy, passed everything, took my boards, got my license, graduated, and I was able to work with them. Now, the way I saw it is that there was a huge opportunity for me to get my foot in the door, and the general manager offered me that opportunity. So in my eyes, like, I'm not going to pass this up. So I had to bust my behind to try to kind of get that. So that's how I kind of ventured on into professional sports. After that, I went to North Carolina. Then I came back, worked a little bit with the LA Sparks WNBA team, and then finally I was elevated to work with the LA Lakers of the NBA, which spent about 12 years with them.
That's amazing. Before we go on to the Lakers stuff, an interesting point that you've just made there, you contacted a number of people. And on the podcast, it's really important. Again, we try and spread messages. How did you feel in that moment where you're actively reaching out to people and you're not getting a response? And this is your dream, you're chasing it, you're chasing a career. What was your mindset and your emotions during that time? Because anyone who's watching with the audience, everyone's trying to build and be successful, but it's not all plain sailing. Sometimes that you reach out to people and it doesn't always work out. So if you could explain to the viewers how your mindset was in that time.
Correct. So, the interesting part of this is, I guess I always use the word perseverance, right? Yes, there's perseverance that, hey, you're wanting to go and you need to kind of keep going. There's always going to, like they say, there's always going to be doors are going to be closed on you, windows are going to be shut on you. Roller coaster, but you got to keep going. So the interesting part about this, and the way I got my foot into, I guess, professional sports, which was arena football, is I went ahead and I went online. I'm like, let me do some research. Let me email them. Let me try to call them. Let me do Instagram. Nowadays, you can do Instagram account. You can probably DM them, stuff like that. So there's a little more resources to be able to get a hold of them. Now, whether they contact you back, that's a whole different story. Because I'm sure when I was with the LA Lakers, every day I was bombarded with at least 12 emails, a dozen emails, a dozen voicemails. Correct, because people kind of want to kind of go in there. So I kind of see their point. Now, the interesting part about this is that there was what's called the LA Avengers, and the team that was kind of new here because we didn't have an NFL team at the time. So I went online and I decided I couldn't get a hold of the athletic trainer, but I know nowadays that every team is associated with a medical facility. So I figured out who the medical facility was. I contacted them. I went in for an interview, and they decided to bring me on as an intern. So I'm like, cool, I'm in, I'm solid. I can't wait for the season to start.
Love that.
But what happened? A couple of weeks later, I get a call from the medical facility and say, hey, Marco, we're sorry. We've lost the contract. So we can't send you anywhere.
So you're here.
You're here. And I'll say, boom, done, right? So I'm like, okay, now what do I do? So then I decided to take a different route. I called the athletic trainer. His name was Lonnie Scott. I called him up. I say, hey, Lonnie, my name is Marco. I'd love to be able to intern. First time he called me, he was a great guy, nice guy. He answered the phone. He politely said, hey, Marco, I appreciate you, but we already have our interest for the season. Maybe try next year. Cool. I waited a week, called him back again. Lonnie, hey, can I come in? Let me wash the whirlpools. Let me just clean up after you. Let me just
want to learn.
I just want to go in there and learn. It's like, sorry, Marco, we have already interns. We can't. We'll wait next year. We'll wait another week. Third week again. I called him again. I'm happy, just put Band-Aids. I'll restock your closet. I'll restock your cabinets, whatever you want. I think that was enough for him. So you know what? Fine. Come on in. And that's what allowed me to go in there. And at first I just stood there, I was just standing there. Hey, I'm just here to observe. Next thing we know, we get a football player that gets up on the table. It's like, you know how to tape? Like, go and tape my ankle. So then I started, and all of a sudden now I was like kind of embedded into the thing. And then that's how kind of
you built that relationship.
I built with the players, with Lonnie Scott, the coaches, stuff like that. And then I became part of the intern family. And then that's how I kind of grew in the part.
Two things. When you're, messaging him and, like you said, using that word of consistently getting in touch with him, do you reckon it's not for everyone that? And some people have very different personalities.
I agree.
So the first one that I would say to you is, I love it, absolutely love it. But for people that are not like that, what best advice would you give them to try and get their way in? I know it's changed with the way the world is, Instagram, emails.
Correct.
Your strategy worked fantastically well, and he was always open, honest, and transparent with you, which is he could have very easily ignored you, couldn't he?
Correct, 100%. And I think one of the biggest things, and I understand this, everybody has what they call their comfort zone, and everybody wants to stay in their comfort zone. And this applies to almost anything in life of your comfort zone. It's not just here, whether it's school, whether it's athletics, right?
Yeah.
My son plays. He also plays football, soccer, and sometimes he. I know he's a good player, but he is afraid of failing.
Yes.
That he never wants to be the first one out there. He's like, hey, I'm gonna be in the back of the line. Like, no, Liam, you
wants to see other people do it.
Before they do it. And one of the big things that you need to understand that it's okay to fail. Part of the learning process is learning from failure, but I get it. Everybody's scared, and you want to stay in your comfort zone, which is natural. It's normal. I mean, who wants to fail? Like, hey,
but you can learn from that as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that when I do coach a little bit, there's this whole thing, you have the W and L's, right? You have your win, everybody does your wins and losses. And one time I read somewhere that, what the W stands for is for wins. Yeah. But what I had read somewhere is that the L doesn't stand for losses. What the L should stand for is for learning.
Come on.
Exactly. It's for learning. It's only a loss if you don't learn from it, type of thing.
I think it's very important, like you said there, winning or learning. But development is massive in particular, obviously, with what we do.
Correct.
It's personal development. It's elevating individuals so they do then learn. I'm going to go on to the Lakers stuff now because for me and for More Than a Match, it's amazing. So can you talk to us about 12 years, obviously, of service at LA Lakers? What was that like for you when you first got in there? And could you talk to us about any individuals that you necessarily work with? I've got obviously questions myself about certain individuals.
Sure.
But what was that like for you?
I mean, it was a great experience, great opportunity. Like I said, it was what I, as my career goal, is what I had set, and I was able to achieve it. So when I had the opportunity to go work for them, it was kind of, hey, this is my checklist. This is where I wanted to be. This is what my ultimate goal was. This is what every athletic trainer's goal is. Now, having said that, I'm sure whoever listens to your podcast that currently works in the professional sports, it's not always cracked up to be like everybody sees on the outside. There's a lot of stuff that kind of goes inside. It's kind of interesting because when I first started working at that level, and I would go speak to high schools, I would speak to college students. I didn't want to be the Debbie Downer, so to speak. So I would kind of glorify working with the professional sports. But then at a certain point, I was like, hey, you know what? I think I'm doing a disservice to these young kids to actually tell them how. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's great working for them, but there's ups and downs to it, right? And so I had to be more honest. Hey, yes, you work here. Yes, you work at the highest level. You work at the professional level. But there's other areas that you have to consider. You may miss time with your family.
Correct.
You're always in the hot seat. You're always in the hot seat. You're working with professional players. There's pressure that, hey, you need to get this athlete ready versus like when you're at the high school level, it's a whole different kind of real type of thing. But I mean, I enjoyed my 12 years there. I have to say I'm very blessed. I had the opportunity to be with them in 2009 and 2010 when we won 2 NBA championships. As part of the staff, I also acquired 2 rings, so I have 2 rings in my possession, type of thing.
Look at this guy, hey, he's got the NBA rings. I love it.
2 NBA rings in my possession. The funny thing about it, because of the insurance, I can't keep them at home, so I have them at a safe deposit box, which I think once I saw them once, put them in there. I haven't really seen.
Have you got any pictures with the rings?
I do. I do. I think I might have 1 or 2 in my phone. So
we'll
I'll send you some of those
amazing.
pictures.
We'll put that on there. That would be fantastic. So, question for me, and I know all the viewers will be screaming at me. The likes of the massive names, LeBron James, unfortunately, Kobe Bryant sadly passed away. Can you talk to us about what I'm really interested to know with what I do and the audience is like their mindset, their work ethic? Like again, they're at the top of their game, and they're at the top of their game for a reason. So that's not a fluke. It's a success story. And again, like you said, it's what happens behind the scenes and that developmental phase to get them to where they need to be. So is anything you can share on them individuals?
So, especially I spent 9 years with Kobe Bryant. With LeBron James, I was only spent 1 year with him. So I got to know him, but didn't get to know him. Kobe, on the other hand, the 9 years spent with him, I actually got to know his work ethic, his philosophy, and what he did to try to get to that level where he's at. So, everybody has talked about, and I'm sure probably has heard about the Mamba mentality. Everybody type of thing. And it's not just him being the first one there, the last one there. It's more of the mentality, bringing your A game every single time. Now, the interesting thing about him is that it wasn't that he just expected like his A game from himself. He expected from his teammates. He expected from the coach, but he expected it from the staff, the physios, the trainers, the coaching. And I'll tell you a story. So the very first game, officially with the team, we traveled to Denver. We land in Denver. He goes to the arena to get some shots up. He comes back. So now we land about 5 or 6. He goes to the arena, gets shots up. He comes back to the hotel about 9, 10 o'clock. I get a call. We get a call from his security because he had his own personal security. And he's like, hey, Marco, Kobe wants a cold tub. Now, back then we had the big metal cold tub type thing. Now, we just flew to Denver. Keep in mind, we don't travel with a big old cold tub we're carrying around. Here you go, type of thing. Right, we don't do that. So I tell the security, like, hey, we don't travel with that. I'm like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, he's staying in a suite. I'm sure he has a big tub. I'm happy to go get some ice. We could dip some ice in there, and we can make a makeshift cold tub. And the security's like, no, he doesn't want that. He wants the actual cold tub. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? So I guess security guard's in the room. You can tell Kobe's in the room. I'm on the phone with security. All of a sudden, the silence goes down, right? And Kobe gets on the phone. And he says, he tells us, I don't care how rough the waters are. Just call me when the boat gets in, and hangs up. I was like, oh wow, right? So then that's
no pressure.
No pressure, right? So then all of a sudden, okay, I got to figure this out, right? Luckily, we had a friend that worked at the University of Denver. This is like about 11 p.m. We call her up, say, can you please come down, open up for us? We'll get you tickets. I don't care. Let's figure it out. She comes down. We go there. He gets his cold up, goes back. Everything's done. He's happy. Everything. He performs great. Stuff like that. So that first game, that's when I learned that he expects everybody to do their job, to bring their A game. Because my job as an athletic trainer is to make sure that he performs, that he's prepared, that he has what he needs to do, whether it's soft tissue, whether it's joint molds, whether it's something simple as a cold tub, whether it's nutrition, whether make sure he gets to sleep or anything of that sort, so he can perform what he needs to do.
You can aid
exactly
performance.
And that's what I realized right first day one, what that mom would tell her, what my mom would tell her was to do is to make sure that I'm prepared, so I aid him in being able to perform on the field.
In that certain story as well, again, I'm just thinking it from a coach's and a player perspective, you would have gained so much respect of him to go above and beyond to do that.
Correct.
And then that follows my next question is relationships within sport. If you're working with, athletes and stuff like that, how important is a relationship when you're working with, whether it's, Kobe Bryant, whether it's LeBron James, or whether it's Sir Dominator? How important is it whether you're working with any individual's relationships?
No, I think that, and then here's the thing about the relationship is very important when you're working with the athlete, not just in an athletic sense, but also in a non-athletic sense.
A human being.
As a human being, So I'll give you an example. We had a player named Julius Randle. Great guy. Now, I forget which, he's still playing in the NBA, but he's playing out there. And his wife was pregnant. And there was an incident that his wife was somewhere and something happened to her. Nothing severe. She just kind of fainted, passed out. And he was right about to go on to practice. So, he's all stressed out, what's going on, type of thing. So I'm like, hey, go to practice. Let me call a doctor. I'll have a doctor go over there. She seemed to be okay, but I'll have a doctor call her. I have her communicate. Let's figure it out. If I need to have her transported, don't worry, I'll take care of it. So every 10 minutes as he's going up and down practice, I would go out there and like, she's okay.
Amazing,
like he wanted to know, okay. And I'm like, hey.
Reassurance.
Sure. Hey, like, hey.
So he can perform.
So he can keep playing. It's like, hey, she's okay. She's okay.
Yeah.
I told him, if anything happens, I'll go out there, pull you out of practice. I'll tell coach. And I also communicate, coach, hey, heads up. He may have to leave in a split second. But she was okay. It wasn't anything severe. She just kind of felt a little dizzy, but the stress of having the first baby, stuff like that.
Course,
So that relationship is important, that outside, because at the end of the day, it's building that trust, like you said, with the player. If the player doesn't trust you,
it's nothing.
Correct. And there's another saying also whenever I do seminars and conversations, is that I forget the saying, but it's something like that. It doesn't matter how much you know as a coach or as a physio or as a trainer to the athlete. Like, they don't really care. Hey, I have 20 degrees from Harvard, from Oxford. Doesn't matter.
Personal approach.
But all they care is that they want to know that you care about them. I'm here to care because I care about you. I want the best interest in you. That's what they prefer on that part. Because if they don't feel that, they don't really care. Hey, you can be the best coach in the world, but if I'm not getting that vibe that you're interested in me being better, I'm gonna go find somebody else.
You mentioned about you've always spent a year with LeBron James. So I'm sure, like you said, you didn't really get to know him in that certain. Was there any snippets that you thought like this guy is at the top of the game because of this?
One of the things that he, I think, took, and he was one of the first ones, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that he kind of gravitated to was the whole recovery process.
Yeah.
From my understanding, even prior to recovery becoming, like recovery has become big in the last 5-6 years, whether it's cold tubs, Normatex, Fireflies, any units, soft tissue recovery, lymphatic, you name it. It's kind of like it's massive. It's a key component of it, right? He was, I think, one of the first ones that actually spent money and understood the importance of it, and now everybody's kind of starting to follow. And I think he understood because he was getting older, he figured, hey, if I need that longevity, I need to start taking care of my body, type thing. And I give you another example. When we had a draft pick out of UCLA, he came in and joined us with the Lakers. And I remember as soon as he joined us, I spoke with him. He was a rookie. I'm like, hey, you need to start coming in afterwards. We need to do some recovery, stuff like that. He's like, no, I'm okay. I'm 21 years old. I'm fine. I'm young.
Not like that, the big man.
Correct. Yeah. 3 years into his career, he came up to me and was like, Marco, dude, my body is worn down. I wish I need to start that. I wish I would have started 3 years ago.
Told you so moment.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah.
In turn, obviously going away from the players, talking about the staff now and the head coaches and stuff like that, how important was your role and relationship with the coaches? How important was that?
I mean, it was one of the key components because I had to meet with the coach at least once a day to communicate with them about the issues with the players, whether it's either personal issues, whether emotional issues, physical issues, injuries, limitations, restrictions, game time, game playing time, anything like that. So he and I had to be in tune as far as now. Every coach has a different philosophy, right? Sometimes the physio's philosophy and the coach's philosophy does not mean it clashes. It clashes at times. So as the head at the Trinity Director of Sports Medicine, I had to kind of figure out a way how to kind of meet that coach halfway and make them understand, hey, this is where we go. And it's different. I had some coaches that were very perceptive. Hey, whatever you say, I do. Other coaches were like, no, this is my way. This is what we're doing.
Can you see that from their perspective as well, because they're concentrating on their role as well as you're concentrating on yours? Do you see? Could you sort of see it from where they was thinking, or was you like, well, this is the way it needs to be done for everybody to win? Because they're all focused on the court, aren't they? Like what goes on the court. But again, with whether it's basketball, football, there's behind the scenes that everything needs to flourish. Everything has to be perfect, doesn't it? So the performance is at the highest level.
Correct. No, you by all means. I mean, yes, I saw where the coaches come from, but the important part is part of my job was to see and understand where the coach is coming from. I had to understand where they're coming from, and I get that part. And my job was try to find a middle ground on that part. One of the biggest things I would always ask is it comes down to what's called the risk reward, right? We have a game today. We have this team is in last place. We're in first place. What is the risk versus the reward of this player that we're trying to kind of get back in there? The risk is way higher than the reward. Why are we going to play him? The way around. Hey, this is a must-win game. What is the risk reward? So it always kind of comes down to at the end.
So if he plays there now, he might be out for the next 3 weeks.
Correct.
And then that might impact the team. So then that impacts the manager or the coach.
Correct.
Yeah, I like that.
Correct.
It's a good way. It's a good way to put it. Moving on to obviously when you moved away from the Lakers and now obviously doing what you're doing now, you work with not just basketball players. You work with a number of athletes. Football players, not soccer players. We're not allowed to say
both football and soccer.
Yeah, we're not allowed to say the proper football, your soccer. You work with a number of players. What's it like changing between sports? Is it any different to the way you do your job? Because you talk about movement.
Yes.
And again, like, see, I'm listening to you.
Yeah.
You talk about movement. Different sports have different movements. So then is it hard for you to then do your job?
Yes and no. Okay. Is that one of the areas that I think that I've gravitated to or have an understanding and I've learned as far as movement, when you're looking at basketball, when you're looking at football, when you're looking at American football, even when you're looking at like tennis or stuff like that, one of the areas that most of these sports have very in common tends to be rotational stuff type of thing, landing mechanics type of thing, ACLs, hamstring, movement mechanic injuries. One of my jobs is also whenever I'm working with an athlete, is to understand. I need to understand their sport. Now, it's not necessarily understand the sport, but understand the movement and the mechanics in that sport involved. And like I said, I'll be honest. If I do work with an athlete, and I've done this, hey, you know what? Hey, I'm not familiar with the sport. I need you to show me your movements. I need to understand the mechanics. I don't need to know, hey, this is what this is like. I hit the ball this way. No, no. I understand is where you step, where the hip movement comes in, when does the shoulder kind of rotate in, stuff like that. And once I understand that those movements, those mechanical movements, then I can kind of create a program for them. Now, where do they have limitations? Where are they feeling restricted? Where are they weak? Where are they pain? Stuff like that. And then that's kind of we go in that part.
Injuries. I'll move on to the injuries. And again, you work with clients that have had very serious injuries.
Yep.
Is there any? You don't have to give us names or scenarios and stuff like that, but you can imagine you take that home with you as well, don't you?
Yes.
In terms of like, it doesn't, you're not in work. And so what's that like? What's that like for you? Like, I mean, because again, go down to relationship, you have very good relationships with them people. You can see that injury is impacting them.
Yes.
And also you're the fixer. I know you don't fix things, but obviously put things in place. How does that affect you as well? Like having that relationship and sort of, you take it on with you, don't you? Because you care.
No, you do it. I mean, it's hard to have this, and the fun thing, and part of the fun thing that he happens to be here.
Sir dominated behind the camera.
Right, we get the camera. When I started working with them, I would joke with them. Sometimes I'd go home, and when I would see him, and if I'm having trouble kind of with the mechanics, if he leaves and it's like, hey, I felt like we didn't accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. Next time I saw him, I joked with him. I was like, hey, I actually, I had nightmares about you because I was trying to figure out, like, hey, what are those movements? What am I missing?
Because you're passionate
on that part to try to get him better. Because at the end of the day, it is a puzzle that my job is trying to figure out, okay, where is that weak link in his body part, in his movement that's creating that discrepancy? And my job is to try to find it. And if I can't, it bugs me because I want to see him succeed. I want to see him back on the pitch, type of thing.
So you're moving on again. You're based here currently at the gym. Big shout out to the gym. Sorry, what?
Nell Athletics.
Nell Athletics.
Here in Eagle Rock, California.
Yeah, California. More than a match international, let me tell you. But no, big thank you to the guys for hosting this, and we really appreciate it. But you do also go to clients' houses, or you're also on the road. So again, for the More Than Match viewers, I think it's important that there's other different avenues what you go to see your clients and provide that sort of care and treatment. So how did that evolve where you did that? Because you've gone from a club, you might have a clinic, but then you spread your wings to go in home visits. How did that come around?
So the interesting thing about this is that when I was working with the Lakers and then I decided to leave and kind of work with private clients, what I discovered is that a few things. Number one, there are certain individuals out there that want or wanted that same kind of care that's being applied to the professional athletes. So like, hey, I want that same care. I want it to be provided to myself. And then they had the funds to be able to do that. Two, these people that had the funds to do this, they themselves were previous athletes. So they had little nicks. They had, I had surgery, a meniscus surgery, when I was in college, but it keeps bugging me now. A lot of these people, all athletes, once they retire, they tend to be still weekend warriors. They still want to be active. They, the owner of this facility here, he played college football, right? Now he still plays Sundays. He plays flag football every Sunday.
That's fantastic.
And when I see him here on Tuesday, hey Marco, my hamstring. So when I work with him, and he likes to work with me because I see him as still as an athlete, and I treat him as an athlete type thing. And you have a lot of clients that do the same thing. Hey, I still want to go run marathon. I still want to do this. I still want to be active. And they want the same kind of treatment care that professional athletes get, that they want to kind of receive at the same time.
I think that's really important as well, like, because it never leaves you, does it? When you retire from a certain sport, or whether it's a way of life, isn't it? Like, it doesn't. It's a mindset thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
What best advice would you give? Again, educational wise, what best advice would you give to someone who's suffering from a serious injury or going through a difficult time? What would the best advice you would give to them?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things, whenever I work with an athlete or any person, and they've sustained either a serious injury, they're going through a serious surgery, or they're going through a very chronic injury that's taking them some time to rehab, is to understand that rehab is not a straight line up. Okay, it's a roller coaster. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be some setbacks. But at the end of the day, my goal, what I try to do with every athlete, is to get at least a small win every single day. I may not get like a big win, like you may not come out like, hey, I'm able fixed. I'm fixed. Versus, hey, you know what? When I came in, I wasn't able to squat all the way down. Now I got 10 more degrees, a little more extension than before. That's a small win. So as long as we're getting those small little wins, and as long as we're hopefully moving forward, that's a positive. That's kind of where we at. And understand that everybody is different. Just because you had an ACL injury, and you saw Johnny that had a ACL injury, and hey, Johnny came back in 8 months. How come I'm not coming back in 8 months?
Different.
Everybody's different. Everybody's body reacts differently to swelling, inflammation, anything that's sore, strength. You might have had, the sutures, whatever it is, was different. Everybody's different. But that's reality. If you have 3 athletes, and I guarantee this, you have 3 athletes that had even if it's a mild ankle sprain, they all sustained the same day. I am guarantee you that all 3 are going to come back different times. There's no way they're going to come back.
Time
exactly. Everybody, how their body reacts, everybody's going to be slightly different.
Again, you don't have to mention individuals' names. What's the worst injury that you've ever had to deal with?
I guess the most grotesque injury that I've seen, actually, one of them is not too grotesque, but the other one's kind of grotesque.
Keep it PG.
I'll keep it PG. But it wasn't actually with any like the Lakers or anything like that. So one of them was with the Lakers. So I was up in a town called Tehachapi, which is outside northeast of here, type of thing. And if you're familiar with the X Games, the Extreme Sports Games type of thing. So they were having the half pipe BMX qualifier. Okay. So you had the guys on the BMX and half pipe, they go up, make a flip, come down, make a flip.
It's not for me.
So in one of them, the guy kind of goes up, does his flips, comes down. Now, as here's the edge coming down, the bike hits right at the edge. Ooh. So right at impact, he goes straight forward. His femur hits the edge, which shatters the femur. Ends up with what's called a compound fracture, where the bone kind of sticks out. Now, the thing that sucks about him is as he hit it, he still had to go down the ramp. So he's falling. All you hear is like, and finally comes to a stop.
I wish I never asked that question now.
The other thing that sucks is, like, say, we're at Tehachapi, which is in the middle of nowhere. So hospital, but have your helicopter come in, stabilize him, and take him away. That's kind of probably the most grotesque. The second, not really grotesque injury happened with the Lakers. We had an injury with Julius Randle, which is kind of public. He goes up for a layup, fractures his tibia, and just sits down. The interesting part is he sat down, nice and calm. We run out there to see what the heck's going on. And he knew right away. He's like, hey, I fractured my tibia. So when one of us put their hands on him and kind of stabilize it, you can feel the bone kind of like within your fingers and your hands type of thing.
I think people have stopped watching the podcast now. I've said that. Last question for me. We like to end the episodes. Damani, my co-host, who, as you know, is not here. I'm not that upset because I've got a new name for you, Marco. He ends it by saying, what has your profession taught you? So, for example, like we have footballers that are on the podcast where it's, what has the sport of football taught you? With you, I know it's very different. It's what has, the medicine side of things, what has, the rehabilitation side of things. What has it taught you in your life?
So a couple of things that I kind of go by. One is when I first started this, I had a mentor named, his name is Alex McKigney. He's Canadian. Actually Scottish, originally from Scotland, but lives in Canada.
UK, representing the UK.
He's working right now. He was with us with the Lakers, but now he's with the Toronto Raptors. One of the things he told me a long time ago that I kind of still live by is that as a physio, as a coach, as a trainer, is to always understand your limitations, right? Okay. That I understand that, hey, I may have somebody that wants to come work with me. If I put my ego, or I don't put my ego aside and say, yeah, I can fix you, I know what to do, and in reality I don't, I'm doing a disservice to that individual. It's better for me to say, hey, you know what? This is out of my area. I've never done this before, but I can refer you to somebody that can help you. Most of the times I've noticed that person is more grateful for me to say that to them. They'll go there and they'll come back and say, hey, what about this? Can you work with me? Versus no, let me figure it out, and then we get no results, then you kind of look back. That's kind of like one of the biggest things.
Thing, though, isn't it?
Correct.
It's like you said, if you've never worked with that certain injury or case, then you're not obviously as confident what you would be in your chosen field. So I think having that open, honest, transparent, that reflects good on you. Then they want to come back to you. That then goes back to the relationship and you as a human being.
Exactly.
So. Yeah. No, it's been an absolute pleasure, this, mate, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Everyone's going to absolutely love this. Another episode of More Than a Match. Please like, please subscribe. I'm RH. This is Marco, my new mate, Damani. Don't get upset. Tune in.